Hi, so I'm assuming that you heard my original video where I took you through the example of communication with the side-by-side of two different people. And this is the second part of that where I'm going to go through each and every one of the 34 strengths. I'll make it a lot shorter so this video doesn't go on forever. But the first strength is achiever. A has it at 27, B at 10. So B is going to be much more about making sure that they're accomplishing things. That's going to be important in this person's life. Whereas A isn't driven by that so much. So again, we have to watch those expectations from one another. A might get annoyed with B for being so driven, or they might say, you know what, this is so cool. I'm so excited to watch somebody be so just committed to getting things done and doing what they want to do and making sure at the end of every day that to-do list is crossed off. Me, not so much. That doesn't drive me. Other things drive me, and I'll be successful because of other reasons. But that isn't what gets me going. So B is going to have to be careful not to get annoyed by A for not approaching things in the same mindset that they do. 2, activator. So A has it at 21, B at 5. So B, that's their compass strength, man. B is all about like getting things done, jumping in 2 feet, really excited about helping somebody else get where they want to be in life. So it's all about like go, go, go. I'm going to jump first, think later, like do and then question. And A is a little bit more reserved. It's kind of in the middle for them. It's not in the bottom, so it's not going to stress them out, but it certainly isn't up at the top either. So they just might not run at the same pace that B does with certain things, and get like, just very impatient about it has to be now. So and the cool thing is too is I'm going to do a little connection here with B having achiever at 10 and activator at 5. Boy, B is a go-getter to get done now. They are impatient for things that they want to accomplish in life. They are like, boom, boom, boom. I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it yesterday. I got to get going on it now. A doesn't operate quite at that speed, quite at that mentality, so they just have to understand this about each other and support each other in their own ways. Adaptability. It's 2 for them, which totally makes sense that the activator and achiever is a little bit lower with having adaptability at number 2. And B, adaptability is at 19. So again, kind of in the middle, doesn't really fuss on one way or another. But A, where adaptability shows up at 2, this is somebody who is more chill. Go with the flow. I can course correct as needed. Oh, you decided to change plan on us? All right, cool. What are we doing now instead? Or where do you want to go to eat tonight? I don't really care. I'll go wherever, which works great with B, who is achiever and activator, who probably has a list of 20 restaurants that they want to make sure they go to. So A is like, great, whatever, let's go. I'm down. Let's give it a try. And they're more about being in the present too. So that's how those two would work well with each other. Analytical is next. So analytical is number 3 for A, and it's 30 for B. So A is much more cerebral in terms of I'm going to depend on data and statistics and really have information to back this up. Again, which makes sense as to why they're not quite so high with the activator strength, because maybe they'll go with the flow and a little bit more chill because they need to find that confidence in the numbers first. They're like, show me, prove it to me first before I'm going to act on it, and then I'm going to go. Whereas B is the complete opposite. They're like, let's just go. I don't care about the numbers. I don't care if it's 3 out of 5 stars or whatever. It looks cool. It looks fun. I want to go see for myself. Let's go do it. And A is like, But wait a minute, we didn't find out, all the information about it first. So why would you want to jump in and do something that we don't know everything about? Then we're on to a Ranger. It's number 7 for A and 27 for B. So this is where you just naturally can see how things and people fit well together, or maybe differently. You look at a scenario or a group of people and you're like, well, of course, this one would be better doing this task, and this one would be better here, and that one fits better here. And, it's all about seeing how things belong with one another. That's very natural to A. So again, there's somebody with the analytical high as well, and the adaptability. They're more like sit back, take in situations, and just kind of think things through and make some assessments in their head themselves before they're jumping into stuff. They want to make sure that it's lined up right before they're on go. And this is lower for B. B is like, really, to me, it doesn't matter. Is it gonna be something that helps me get to my goal? Then I'll consider it. But if not, I'm not gonna waste my time on that. I need to get moving to get to my goals and get those taken care of. Then comes belief. So this is 25 for A and 18 for B. So neither one of them are strongly driven by their core values. Of course, that doesn't mean they don't have core values. We all do, right? It just means that their world and things that they do and think about aren't centered around them, whereas belief is higher for somebody. Boy, it better be in line with things that they think should be, or that doesn't work for them. And so if belief is high, you can tend to be a little bit more judgmental on people too. This is where you hear about people who should each other, or you get, should on each other, that type of thing. That's not going to happen with these two people, because it's kind of in the middle for both of them. But it's not low either. So it's not something that stresses them out or makes them feel like they should live up to something that they're not. And so they're going to get, doubting themselves if they don't. They're just kind of, it shows up in different things in their life at different points. Command, again, kind of the same thing, 19 for A and 14 for B. So neither one of them are really going to be the one to always be taking charge, and it has to be done this way, and this is what I think, and voice it and go for it. And if they see something chaos, they're going to be the one to walk up and be like, this is how we should be doing it instead. But neither one of them are going to squirm on that either, and oh my God, there's no way they want me to be the person to have to take care of this, and I can't do that. They don't get stressed out by it either. So when situations arrive, they can step up to it, but it's not a driving force for either one of them. I talked about communication in the previous video. 31 for A, B is 8. So that dynamic between the two of them. Competition is lower side for both of them. A is 28 and B is 24. So they're not going to have those knock down, drag out card games, or say, hey, we're relaxing tonight, let's play something, because one of them, they both have to try to win. That's not how they are. They get a little bit more stressed when they're comparing themselves, or when they feel like they're being compared. So that's something to be mindful. Even though it's kind of lower for both of you, we still sometimes as humans have a tendency to compare ourselves or compare other people to other people. So if you are sitting back and going, well, geez, she doesn't really do this like this one does, maybe, that's that I'm going to think that should annoy me, that's not how it is. And how come you can't be more like that? How come you can't talk more because this one talks more and you don't ever talk? That's going to cause a problem when you're comparing or being compared or comparing yourself to other people. So that's something that they both need to be mindful of doing to themselves and each other. Connectedness is 30 for A and 15 for B. So definitely low. Connectedness is where you feel like everything happens for a reason and there's no coincidence, and you just we all are just as one, and so we should look out for one another, and let's just make sure that we have this nice connection instead of worried about other things. That's low for A. They're like, oh, really? Like, I'm just living my life. I don't have to like worry about how I'm connected to the people over here and this and that part of the job. It's just, I'm just doing my thing, and for B, it shows up a little bit more, that feeling of everything happens for a reason and that type of thing. Consistency is 16 for A and 34 for B. So not super high for A, kind of in the middle, but for B, that's the bottom right there. That's the last one. So that means that B is not about systems and processes. So even though they are super driven to accomplish their goals, and they're not, naturally super flexible, and they don't really want to worry about how they see things, being put together, they're not about the systems and processes that go with those things either. So they feel like if they are told that they have to follow all these rules and do it like this because that's how everybody else is, that is going to stress them out. So if you're A, be mindful of that, watch how things are approached. Maybe you don't, and especially because the 16 for you, it's not high, so it's not something that really drives you. So again, be mindful that it's low for B and think, okay, if I'm feeling like, this has to be done like this all the time, I know I'm going to stress my partner out, and that's not going to be a good thing for either one of us. Context, 32 and 31, low for both of them. Neither one of them are served well from the past. Neither one of them like to go backwards. Maybe there was some stress in the past. Maybe not. Maybe they're just more focused on going forward or where they're at right now. So the adaptability, which is high for A, that's present moment. That's, I want to just focus on where I'm at right now. It doesn't serve me well to do things as they've always been done. That's not how they have to work. And especially for B, with consistency being low as well as context low, definitely don't want to follow the way things have always been done just because that's how they've always been done. That's going to drive that person crazy. So be mindful of that. Deliberative, 22 for A, right in the middle, low for B. It's 32 for B. So B, overthinking does not serve you well. A, be mindful of this and kind of, you'll know like, B, you're overthinking right now. Wait a minute, I can tell your mind just went to a place that isn't even happening right now. You are so overthinking this. So that also works in effect with the fact that activator is their compass. So if they're stuck in this hesitation of overthinking, that is so not natural to who they are. So it's going to pull them down. And when they think that they should, don't act so fast. You really need to go through the pros and cons list, and you really need to weigh things out. That is not good for that person. It might work great for somebody else, and that's how other people, but if they get caught up in this is how I should be doing things because that's how other people do it, it's not going to serve them well. So A, be mindful of this, watch for it. You can really help your partner out with this and say, hey, you're not going as quick as you usually do. What's going on here? What's going on in that head of yours? You're overthinking. And even though communication is low for A, this is a good time for them to step up and say, I know this is probably something you need to talk about. So let's do this for a few minutes. I'm going to give you some time right now for you to talk this out with me. It doesn't mean you have to talk. It just means you can listen for a little bit, or even just say, maybe you need to go talk to so-and-so about this. Because if there's nothing you can do to fix it as A, and I'll have to see where restorative is, Oh yeah, number one. If there's nothing you can do to fix it for A don't want to listen to it. Go to somebody who can help you with this so they can point it out for you and set you on the right direction and suggest to you that you go talk to somebody that's going to be able to help you out with this, okay? Developer, 9 for A, 12 for B. Relatively close, a little bit higher for A. That means that A is quicker to compliment. It's in their natural top strengths to see the potential in other people. And B, it's not too far off either. So both of them are really going to do a nice job of supporting one another, talking about the potential, talking about what they see, the good that they see in each other, and what they can do with it. They may go about it in different ways, and that good might be done differently, but they're seeing it in one another, and they really honestly want to help pull that out of one another to get them to the level that they want to be at. Key is there, the level that the person wants to be at, not the level that you think they should be at, okay? Discipline, 18 for A, 28 for B. So neither one of them are strict and rigid on their schedules and their agendas and their timing and all that kind of stuff. So not going to have a problem with feeling like you're stepping on somebody's time and how they want to spend it. And, it needs to be all accounted for each day and very disciplined at getting done what they want to get done. Now, B does have that achiever higher, but that's going to come about in different ways for them. They're going to be able to accomplish those goals differently than just being super disciplined, which again, for B makes sense with consistency being low. They don't want to just sit down at their desk and be disciplined, do the same thing every day to try to accomplish those goals, because those goals to them aren't going to really fulfill them. Okay, and if you get caught up thinking that's what you need to be doing, then you need to reassess and realize that doesn't work for you. It's going to work for other people, but not for you. Empathy, 11 for A, 9 for B. So again, relatively the same on that one. So you're both going to have a pretty decent way of being able to see things from one another. So going through something like this and really understanding one another, you'll be able to put yourself in that other person's shoes. This is not going to be difficult for you to be able to step back and say, oh yeah, that's right, I forgot. Consistency is low for you. I feel that. I can understand that, and I accept that about you. So empathy is about the same, relatively high for both of them. That's going to come nice and naturally. Again, have to get a little mindful there though of setting some boundaries, because you don't want to get too caught up in being super empathetic so that you feel like you've got the weight of everybody else on your shoulders too. So that's something to be mindful of. You have to set some boundaries to this. Next is focus, 13 for A and 23 for B. So A is going to be a little bit more like, if I'm in the zone, I'm in the zone, and I'm not going to get distracted by much. B it's in the middle still, so not too fussed by it, but just not quite as much, maybe a little bit easier distracted, maybe not so on task all the time with getting stuff done, which again, fits with the discipline lower and stuff like that. So futuristic, 17 for A, 25 for B. So again, meh for both of them. Neither one of them are super driven by the future. They're not always one step ahead and looking to, oh my gosh, once this, we got to get to here. But neither one of them get too stressed by it too. Maybe B a little bit more than A, but neither one of them are like, wait a minute, you want to talk about the future? I just broke out in hives because I can't do that. That is not something to worry about because it's going to make me have anxiety. So futuristic, both of them kind of in the middle. They can take it, they can think about it, they can plan, but it doesn't run, the forefront of how they both operate, or either one of them. Harmony, 24 for A, pretty meh, 33 for B. 33 is not a peacekeeper. 33 does not do well when they feel like they have to compromise themselves in order to keep the peace, in order to not rock the boat. It doesn't mean that they're loudmouth. It doesn't mean that they're obnoxious and they're going to like constantly put their views. They may though, and they may need to keep that in check in terms of how they handle that about themselves, but they're not just getting caught up in worrying about if something's going to offend somebody else. If it's bothering me, and or if I see that somebody else isn't being treated so well, I'm going to step up and say something about that, because I'm not worried about rocking the boat. I'll be able to address the person at hand, whereas a lot of time if you have harmony higher, you don't necessarily want that conflict, so you won't address the person, but you're going to be all up in arms about it everywhere else. You're going to be posting all over social media and talking to everybody else but the source of what the issue is there. So ideation, 20 for A, middle. Number 1 for B. So number 1 is a big thinker, which goes awesome with achiever high and activator, because a lot of times when people have ideation high, they love all the ideas, but they don't do that follow through. This person is going to be able to come up with the big ideas and be able to be like, oh my gosh, what if we did this? And they're really going to do it. And they're going to want to be driven by accomplishing it, which, oh my gosh, the doors that could be open for this person are amazing in what they could accomplish and what they could get done, because they're going to have such cool ideas. It's not just going to be like the same tasks are getting done. This is like creativity at its best right here. 20 is going to be able to just ride along, because it doesn't juice them. It's not their top, but it isn't in the bottom either. So dealing with somebody who has such big ideas and everything isn't going to stress them out and be like, oh my gosh, can we just like focus on the actual? They'll be able to handle it all right. Especially when we have this respect level down now and they know that, oh, okay, I get it. That's why you're so in la la land sometimes, because you're dreaming up something and it's probably going to be pretty cool. So that can help bring on some nice respect between you. Includer is 10 for A and 29 for B. So this means that A is much more about, I don't care, anybody can come, whatever, more the merrier. Like they feel bad about leaving some people out. They don't want to do that. Like it's gonna like bother them if well, wait a minute, aren't they gonna feel sad if we don't have them come too? Whereas B is kind of like, I don't really care because I don't do well in a loud crowd with a bunch of people that don't mean a lot. Like, I need to know that they're going to contribute to getting this idea of mine done. They're going to be able to help in some way. Otherwise, they're just excess right now for this. They're just baggage and I don't need all the extra. They don't feel guilty by not having somebody be a part of something. And that's okay. There's nothing wrong with any of these. It's just how you are. Again, it's the emotional intelligence that goes with this. This is your self-awareness right here. Now we have to learn to accept these things about ourselves and each other. And then you embrace them like, yeah, heck yeah, that's how I operate. And I'm okay with that. I love that about myself. And then you go into the management of it. Okay, I might be like this, but I also need to be aware that maybe somebody else has includer high and they feel really bad when they're not included a lot. So I'm going to be mindful of how I go about not including them for something that I don't do well if there's a lot of people around me. But I can be mindful of this now in the way that I manage it so that I feel empowered and I still have that person feeling empowered too, because I'm not just straight up being like selfish about the way I go about it, okay? Individualization, 26 for A, 2 for B. So if you remember, consistency was lowest for B, which really, like, this person is polar against systems and all about people individualized. Like, no, of course you don't fit into a box. You are too unique for that. And, the ideas that comes with that and the big thinking, individualization is yes, it's all about just uniqueness and in seeing the unique traits in other people too, not just to like, hey, I'm unique and everybody better understand that about me, but you can sit back in a crowd and watch people and you know exactly different nuances about each one of them, okay? So this is a good pairing with the arranger, with A having a arranger high, because they might be able to go to B and say, hey, I really need to figure out how I can get this group of people to work well. And I know like how they should, but what about each one of them is really going to, am I right in this decision? Like it's going to be a good collaboration there between individualization, being able to pick up on different traits and nuances about different things and people, and then B being able to, or A being able to put them to work then and say, okay, I know exactly now how to arrange this and how it's going to make sure that this is going to work so good. So input is for A, it's 8, and for B, it's 3. So both of them like to gather information that they're going to store away for the right time. They're resourceful. They like input. They don't think that they have all the answers themselves, and if they do, they want to double check by checking into research and okay, hey, you know what? This is pretty cool, but it doesn't serve me right now, but I'm going to file this the way because I know that someday somebody is going to want something and I'm going to be able to help them with this information that I now have because I took the time in learning about it. So they're both about input. An election is 4 for A and 11 for B. So both, on the higher end of that. So they're both deep thinkers. So B is a big thinker and a deep thinker. And A is likes to go really introspective. So A, remember, is quiet. Communication is low. So a lot of times that's because A is maybe not too sure about things. So they don't want to say something that's going to cause problems. They need to do some deeper introspective work first before they feel comfortable saying something, okay? They're all about that. I need to be able to know this for sure. I need to have the knowledge behind this before I can feel comfortable saying things and presenting stuff. Learner is 12 for A and 7 for B, again with input. So input is they like to gather information that they can help serve others. Learner is they like to gather information to help serve themselves and be able to be understand things more, and they're interested in, I don't know about this. Yeah, I'm interested in finding more about it. So that's high for both of them. Maximizer is 29 for A and 20 for B. So it's lower, but again, both relatively in the same area. So with that, that's a good thing because maximizer is when you always have to go from better to best. Nothing is ever quite good enough. It's always, you got a 98% on that. Okay, but what can you do next time you get that 100? It's always got to be better. Or did you go to tutoring? Did you make sure you did these things? All of that is maximizer. These guys both have it on the lower end. So A gets a little more stressed out about maybe thinking that they're not enough. And B, is not too far off from that, but neither one of them are going to really constantly be pushing to set that next best. So even though B has achiever in their top 10, it doesn't mean that they have to always be going for the next achievement. It's that I've set these achievements, I'm going to get those accomplished, I'm going to hit these goals, and then I will be satisfied. So that's a nice quality for those guys there. Positivity is 14 and 13, so both on the little bit higher side. So they're both, try to see the good in things. Try to bring a good positive energy. Try to live more out of joy. Sometimes positivity actually has been talked about that can be a little bit of a judgy strength because you just don't understand why people can't see the good and stuff. I think it depends on what other strengths are around that, but for them it's high-ish. It's not their driving force. It's not everything has to be good in order for them to feel safe and secure and okay, but it's not down in the lower levels either, and they're at the same with that, so no issues there. Relator is 6 for A and 26 for B. So relator is more like I want a small group of people that I can go deep with. I need to, I'm a little more guarded, and then when I've let my guard down, you're the ones that are going to really know me, but not everybody else is going to really know me, and I don't need everybody else involved. I just need my core people. So as you remember, we talked about includer. So includer for A, which relator is the 6, includer is the 10. So even though they seem like they might be kind of opposite traits, when we see traits that tend to be opposite, closer together, it means that there's a nice balance there. So in some situations, they're going to pull more on the relator. Like if it's something really personal, only my relator people get to know that. Includer people, I don't open up to you guys, but I'm happy to have you around for all kinds of other things like work or whatever, surface level. I'm good with that. And sometimes they even feel more comfortable being able to stay in that surface level rather than having to go deep. But those deep people mean a lot to them. And relator for B is 26 and includer was 29. So this person B is people in their, let me see, it kind of, both of them bring them a little bit of stress. Not a lot of stress. It's not in their bottoms, but both feeling like, oh my gosh, who do I get deep with, and should it be everybody? I don't really know if it should be everybody, and maybe I'll try it with these people, but then, oh no, what if that doesn't work and stuff? So a little bit more potential social anxiety there in terms of real connections with people, but also they don't really get fussed by it either. Like it doesn't stress them out. So keep that in mind. Relator is higher than for A than B. So they might want their core group of people around more often than B does. B just might want to be left alone a little bit more. Responsibility, 5 for A and 22 for B. So this is A's compass strength, responsibility. I am about, if I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. You can depend on me. I am loyal. I am trustworthy. I will do it. But because of it being such a prominent strength for A, weight of the world can feel like it's on this person's shoulders. I am responsible for not only myself, but for you and this, and making sure this gets done at work and that person. And oh my gosh, if you're not happy, I'm responsible for that. And breathe, so that's something to be mindful of. It's a great trait to have as your compass strength because yes, you are super dependable and people are going to love being able to rely on you. You have to be mindful of this for yourself and keep it in check though. And it's lower, much lower for B. So you have to be careful not to set those expectations onto B that, well, wait a minute, you said you were going to do this and how come you didn't? Well, because it's really not that big a deal. It's okay if I didn't do it by 10 o'clock or whatever, like I'll still do it at some point, or I had somebody else do it instead. It's okay. It's all right. And A might be a little bit more stressed about that. So again, B, good thing to know that about A, keep that in mind, have this information to be able to reference back to. So when you do get into some type of argument or conflict about something, oh yeah, that's right. I'm kind of messing with their core strength right now. So I'm going to adjust and be more respectful of that in this person. Restorative is number 1 for A and 17 for B. So problem solving at its finest is restorative. So This means that A might come across as being a bit more negative. Now, keep in mind, we did talk about the positivity was higher for them, so that's good to have that nice balance, but they do tend to focus on a problem. So when you are having a conversation with them, when there is something they want to talk about, most likely it's going to be something that is a problem that they are stressed because they feel responsible in solving, okay? This person they put a lot on themselves in making sure that they're solving other people's problems or things that they think they should be solving. I'm too responsible to have this be an issue for me. I need to come up with a solution for it instead of just figuring it out. Now, they have adaptability at number 2. Great balance for this. So yes, I can problem solve and I feel the need to find solutions, but I can go with the flow with this too. It doesn't have to be rigid. Like the solution doesn't have to be the one and only, and it doesn't have to be followed. I can change and say, oh, you know what? Okay, the solution I see isn't working, so I'm going to adjust and I'm going to pivot and I'm going to go over here instead and try that. Or I'm going to take what you have on board because I also have input and learner high too. So they're going to be resourceful. Hey, what do you think about this? Okay, great. This goes as well with the arranger that they have high. They feel responsible to solve problems in a way that sets everybody in the positions that they should be in order to achieve that nice flow with each other. So 17 with B, with the restorative problem solving, they can do it when they need to. It's not a driving force to them, but it also doesn't completely paralyze them and stress them out as if it were in their bottom either. So it is good for B to be mindful that A is always kind of assessing situations for problems. But the nice thing about it is they really do want to solve them too, even though it might seem like they just kind of get into the trenches with them. And with A having intellection so high too, a lot of the problems that they're focusing on are going to be like me. What's wrong with me? What do I need to fix about me? What needs to be done about me? And they're not high with activator though, so they might not always take action with this. It might be just something that mulls around up in here a lot, okay? So that's something to think about. Self-assurance, 15 for A, 21 for B. So self-assurance, kind of meh for both of them. This means that confidence levels, they're good. They're not sky high. I have all the answers and I can do it all myself. They're not still kind of in that toddler mentality. I do myself. They're not like that, but it also isn't so low that it stresses them out and they feel like, they're always questioning themselves and if they're doing things right, and they don't feel confident in the decisions that they're making and the steps that they're taking, that type of thing. So self-assurance is just right there, that nice balance in the middle. It'll show up when they need it to, but it doesn't go one way or another too much. Significance is low for 34. For A, that's their number 34. And 16 for B, so right there in the middle. So even though, this is interesting, even though A has, I have to problem solve and come up with the solutions, and their number 5 of responsibility, like I need to be the one to make sure that this stuff gets done. It's on my shoulders right now. They want to do it behind the scenes. They don't want recognition. They're not doing it because they want to be put on a pedestal for it, or they want to be able to get the award at the work banquet because they did X, Y, or Z. They take care of stuff because stuff needs to be taken care of. And that's the way they view it. And that's it. And then we move on. No time for applauding me. Now, does that mean that they don't like to be appreciated? Heck no. Everybody wants to be appreciated for what they do, right? They're working hard. They're problem solving. They're helping people. They're putting people where they belong to do the best job that they can do for themselves in the company or in relationships or whatever. So of course you want to be appreciated. Everybody does. They just don't need that formal recognition for it. And when they get it, it stresses them out And when other people are in search of it all the time, they're not a real fan of that either. So, and again, mid-zone for B. They're okay with it one way or another. Strategic, 23 for A and 6 for B. So 6, again, is a little bit more. They're both in their heads, but kind of for different reasons, which again will make a nice collaboration between the two. So something to keep in mind real quick. When I go through side-by-side strengths with people or even their whole families, it is not about if people are compatible or not. Everybody can be compatible. It's about respect, understanding and respect, acceptance, confidence in who you are, to have confidence in the other person. Those types of things. That's what this is about. It's not about, oh my gosh, what if we don't have any strengths alike? Totally okay. Great balance there, folks. Oh my gosh, what if too many of our strengths are alike? Totally okay. Then you guys jive with a lot of things and you're going to struggle with the same types of things. So you can help each other out. You're going to understand that about each other. So no good or bad, or no bad in any of this. It's all good if you understand and respect it about one another. Keep it in the forefront. Understand this is how this person operates, and I respect that about you, and I respect it about me too. So strategic, again, lower for A. B, all about it. I have to think, create, learn. Again, it works with their ideation, but they're going to be able to put it in motion because they got that activator too. Some people who have strategic thinking strengths high can spend all day in bed just coming up with, but then they don't actually follow through and do any of it, which is fine. Again, nothing bad about that. All that means is they have to recognize that in themselves to know, maybe I should hire somebody or connect with somebody or pair up with somebody who is all about the executor, the activator, get things done type disciplined person to put my thoughts, creations, and things I've learned into motion if I actually want them in motion. Some people just get the joy from coming up with it, and they don't need the follow through in order to feel fulfilled. They can feel that sense of purpose just by all the amazing things that go on in their head. And it makes them feel so complete just from that. Awesome. Good for that person. What's even better is when they know that about themselves and they can accept it and understand it and embrace it and manage it and feel empowered by it. Not feel bad about it, because that's not how other people operate. Got it? So the last one, woo. And for some reason, every time I say the word woo, I have to go woo. Maybe it's the cheerleader in me. I have no idea. But woo, win others over. Okay, this is all about wanting people to like you. 33 for A, 4 for B. So I find quite often couples tend to have these on opposite scales. I haven't so far seen a lot of high woos together. Doesn't mean it won't work, totally could, but it's just funny to me that I seem to find the opposite. So if you notice, the one with communication low is the one with woo low as well. So B, so again, that relator and that includer, the ones, with the groups of people that they want to be around, are both relatively low. This person is more all about networking and just kind of that surface, get to know you, schmooze. I want to win you over. But then after that, however it goes, and I'm not stressed by it either way. We can be the best of friends ever, or we can just be acquaintances. I got my fulfillment by knowing that we found some type of connection and there's some way that you were drawn to me and I was drawn to you too. That's enough for this one. And boy, do they thrive on it, because it's number 4 for them. Okay, 33, not so much. Don't put me in the networking events. I hate icebreakers. I don't want to have to cold call on people. I don't want to have to do any of that kind of stuff. So guess what happens when you have that in a partner? Awesome. Hey, yeah, nice to meet you. Talk to her. Talk to him. Let this other person drive the conversation. Let this other person win you over. And I'm going to enjoy having a friendship with you. And maybe someday you're going to end up in my relator circle, which is high for this person. And they're going to have a great connection at some point. But that's where the fulfillment comes, not that initial meeting of you. Whereas like for me, it's my number one. I love meeting new people. It's a challenge for me to meet new people and to see what happens with the dynamic. Okay, so anyway, that's all 34 traits, a side-by-side comparison, deep dive. Thank you for sticking with me. I hope you found this to be helpful. I'm so curious to know where, not only where your traits land, but maybe compared to somebody else too. So if you've got that person in your life that you want to feel more connected to, you want to have more respect for both ways, appreciated, and you want to be empowered by the relationship and help empower the other person for who they are as well, hit me up. I'd love to work with you guys.